When you're building a restaurant, the biggest cost comes from the fire hoods, extinguishers. That's the most
Hmm.
expensive part. Believe me not, like shuru mein, I mean, that customer, I still remember him. He doubted me so much. I'm like, guy, I can win a war if you want me to. He like it's a lot more progress, but they would be still like on Sundays,
Hmm.
let's make some mathiyan, let's make some samosa for home. तो हमारा संडे तो खराब होता था पर मैंने उनको एक बार फोन करके बोला था कि I'm sorry I used to hate you then but I absolutely appreciate you now. In my industry we only get one chance. And एक बार ही गलती होगी तो मतलब गए काम से गए
Yeah,
काम.
that is.
That's one of the biggest challenges I would say is like nobody considers like as humans. एक मिनट लगाते हैं गूगल में जाने के लिए बोला. I used to have a American guy
Okay.
who was my catering manager. And it is quite easily, kind of सीख जाते हैं, but थोड़ा time लगता है उनको understand करने के लिए because dal makhani was once served in like soup bowl and I'm like यार हमारी दाल मखनी तो दाल मखनी है soup bowl में नहीं जाएगी.
This was a new thing I
Like
discovered in USA, and it is very interesting. Like over here, with any Indian dish, you get rice for free. Why is that? This wasn't there in India.
Curious, confident, creative, fearless, and full of capabilities. As kids, all of us had that in common. But growing up, somewhere along the way, we lost those skills following down a traditional path to lead a stable life. I know I did. Now that I have a son, I don't want him to lose those skills. But he won't listen because, like most kids, he follows by example. That means I have to lead now. And I don't know where to start. And that is why I'm talking to these hustlers who have rediscovered their confidence, creativity, overcome challenges, embraced failures, but are still creating their own path to success, learning from their journey and sharing it with you all. And I hope that inspires and pushes us over that edge to do what you love. I'm Jai Desai, and thank you for joining me on the Hustlers podcast. In today's episode, you will learn how to start small and scale your dreams. And also, very importantly, how unknowingly each experience in your life shapes you and gets you closer towards your goal. Now, let's get started. Enjoy the conversation.
Thank you, Sonia ji, for being a guest on this show.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me, Jay. I am Sonia, and I am the owner of Bibi Tiffin in Lehigh Valley. We originally started like the Tiffin service 5-6 years ago, but abhi it's been 2.5 years, mainly focusing on restaurant business, a very casual sort of setup, casual street
Mhm.
style food.
So you said you started with a meal service. And can you talk
Uh-huh.
about that journey? How did you go from meal service to restaurant?
So it all came up with professionals, doctors, physicists. So we opened a grocery store like 2016 May, and then clientele like we would be there. We would talk to customers, and it's like धीरे धीरे समझ आने लगा कि there's a lot of professional people like
Mm.
IT में है, doctors and nurses है. So उनको like they don't have
Mm.
time to get like home cooked meal. So obviously me being the opportunist, like मुझे लगा there's a gap and there's a need
Yeah.
for it. So that's how it all started. And believe me or not, it's I just sent 5 WhatsApp messages to my friends I thought will be interested, and it just the scene just blew up like from 5 to 350 customers
Oh,
in a couple of years and years time. Yes, rapidly.
तो
So
मील सर्विस
that
पे कंटिन्यू क्यों नहीं किया आपने लाइक क्या आप अभी वो करते हो?
I still had that tiffin service in my little दिल में छोटे से कोने में अभी भी tiffin service है. And believe me or not, हफ्ते में 1-2 phone calls आते हैं, ये message आता है, Sonia जी, tiffin
Okay.
service. It started with tiffin service. Then it became weekend catering चालू हो गया. So it was like, okay, I need a tray of dal makhani or chole or aloo gobi. Can you do that? So then I got a little brave with doing those. फिर थोड़ा सा और like the words started going out. The quality is good. Then it was like, can you come and set it up and do that? And obviously, I always had passion. खाने के लिए तो
Okay.
पंजाबी हूँ तो हमेशा से ही था. And I really started actually. Sanjeev Kapoor was like my क्या बोलते हैं इसको idol नहीं जब वो भाई खाना
Hmm.
खजाना के जमाने से follow
Right.
करते हैं उसको. So I used to like back home. I think 10th standard में थी. So the whole passion for it started then. And I used to put all my ingredients and be in the TV show pretending. And then with this, it came up even more. So then I got the opportunity to go and serve and set up. And I always believe like we eat with our eyes. So if the food is looking good, then it's
Hmm.
gonna taste good. And that's how that was the kind of my bottom line in everything
Okay.
I did. Like
Yeah, a lot of interesting things you mentioned. तो आप संजीव कपूर का शो देखते थे, वहां से इंटरेस्ट आया, और आप बचपन में इतना कुक भी करते थे, like growing up?
I did actually, and that's like mom used to tell me. तभी मैं बहुत delegation करती
Okay.
थी. So my daddy used to help me a lot. तो मैं उनको बोलती थी मुझे ये सब्जी ऐसे
Okay.
काट के दो, ये ऐसे काट के दो. And then I still had a method in that. So it wasn't like, I look at all these shows on Instagram today and I was like, this is all I used to do way back without the
Hmm.
Instagram. Like I would have my things ready and I would talk about it and then do it. So there was always that method there. And then sometimes हमारे our families would come to visit from मेरी बुआ या चाची जो बाहर इंग्लैंड में रहते थे वो कभी कभी आते थे तो उनको मैं फिर बना के खिलाती थी
Okay.
अपनी dishes, what or
And
flattened. So I
वो
would
लोग
get feedback.
genuinely तारीफ
I would
करते
make
थे
them
या
happy.
आपका दिल खुश करने के लिए करते थे तब?
No, they were like really impressed. Of course, like India में like if you I'm like 90s, right? So उस जमाने में अगर खाना बनाना सीख रही is good thing. It's good. Nobody would think you would make a career out
Okay.
of it or restaurant चलाएगी. So it was like अगर मैं इंडिया में होती I would become the prime minister the way it was like my dad would say.
So is
So
the name Bibi's
yeah.
Tiffin from your grandmother? Is that a Punjabi word?
My नानी, yeah, yes, I always tell this story. So मेरी नानी, तो हम लोग पंजाब छुट्टियों में जाते होते थे ना. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
कच्चे घर होते थे. And और मेरी नानी भी बहुत शौकीन थी खाना बनाने की और उनको मेहमान नवाजी I think just typical grandmother
Hmm.
खाना खा के जाए. तो उस समय में imagine like लकड़ी का चूल्हा होता था. It's not even like gas cooker के 1
Hmm.
मिनट में हो जाएगा. तो उसी में उसको होता था कि मतलब खाना लाइक दाल रखी भी नहीं है तो उनको था कि बन गया खा के जाओ
Okay.
sort of thing. That kind of reminded me of like how she was, and that's what the essence of BB's is like कि आप खाना बन गया है आप खा के जाओ, it's here, so we want to make sure we have that same coziness and
Hospital.
love
Yes.
one would
All
get
that.
from your nanny. But that's how the name came,
Okay.
BB's, and the Tiffin was
So
Tiffin. So we call it
okay.
Bibi.
So आपने you did Tiffin services, and then what made
Uh-huh.
you jump to restaurant?
So let me tell you what other thing is. I moved to America like 10 years ago, 2012 May, we came here. And I moved from England. And if you can find any good Indian food out of India, it's in London and Singapore. So imagine coming from that food
Hmm.
scene and coming to Lehigh Valley. I mean, now Lehigh Valley has five or
Hmm.
six Indian restaurants. We have plenty of choices. But in 2012, it was, I went to an Indian restaurant to eat and I was like, oh God, kya hai? Trust me. So that the passion and that the gap now married each other. Like passion to tha from
Hmm.
when I was young and I would cook. And then मेरी शादी भी बड़े घर में हुई. So there was like 5 देवर थे, ननद थी, सास थी. तो bulk cooking मैंने वहां से सीखी है, to be honest. Again, when I came here, तो वो gap था. And I always again had that in back of my head. One day I think they should taste the real authentic Indian food rather than thoda sa.
Okay, so वो आपने 2012 में experience किया कि there's no good food.
The food was like, I hate to say it, I was felt like the same. Gravy was and
Okay.
everything, and I was like, oh my god, to kuch karna padega. But then again, that was back burner.
Yeah.
Kids were growing up, school and all that, so that never happened. But when the tiffin happened, then sometimes one door leads to another, and that's what happened in my case. And eventually, it was somebody tells me like, अगर आपके हॉबी से पैसा बनता है
Correct.
तो उससे अच्छी बढ़िया
Right.
बात कोई भी नहीं है, right? So if, believe me or not, if I'm stressed, what I go is I go downstairs and cook in the restaurant. That the whole stress of it, the joy of it, or the creativity of it really relaxes my head. Blessed in that way, so some to have a passion for something and getting paid for it, good
But
thing, right?
then you are not cooking in a restaurant, right? I'm guessing you would have hired people to cook in your restaurant because you are managing the other parts, the operations.
I'm still very heavily involved, believe it or not. I am still like I'm always there. I'll make sure, and I won't eat like randomly. I will check क्या बना
Okay.
है, कैसा बना है, gravy सही है नहीं है. You call it क्या बोलते हैं उसको? There's a word for it. Possessiveness बोलिए या quality check बोलिए. Very strict to me. It's if I get this wrong, this is it. That's
So interesting is
how
आप
it.
एक पॉइंट पे टिफिन सर्विसेज से ऑलमोस्ट 350 लोगों का ग्रुप था या उतने लोगों को टिफिन सर्व कर रहे थे
Mhm,
एंड वहां पे टिफिन इज यू नो
mhm,
टिफिन में रेस्टोरेंट इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट बिजनेस राइट इट्स अ
mhm.
वेरी
Oh my
डिफरेंट
God,
बॉल गेम
different
राइट
ball game.
बहुत इन्वेस्टमेंट लगेगा
Different.
वो सब लगेगा तो हाउ
Mm,
डिड यू गो अबाउट दैट आपने
mm.
Lehigh Valley is still a small place right Lehigh Valley is in Pennsylvania it's a small town and अपने
Uh-huh.
कस्टमर्स मिलना नहीं मिलना तो आपने हाउ रिसर्च कैसे की
When you're building a restaurant, the biggest cost comes from the firewood extinguishers. That's the most expensive part. Even like the smallest of it, 4 feet or let's say 6 feet, it's like ten thousand
Sorry, what
dollars
is it?
easy.
Fire extinguisher.
So yeah, at the hood, जो exhaust होता है, exhaust system. Within the kitchen, that's the most kind of expensive part. So whenever I was looking to get the return on investment, I was always looking for a restaurant or location which had a restaurant previously and has closed down and has that system already set up. So I kept looking and then I came across this place just before or during COVID actually. So a lot of restaurants did close during COVID. The restaurant I am in right now was like owned by an old gentleman. उनको इतना high tech नहीं था. उनको didn't want to go DoorDash and Uber and all that. Didn't want to do any of that because all they knew was dine in, right? Customers would come in, take the food and go. So takeaway took off during COVID, right? Mostly. So this I found out from somebody that this location is closed. So mujhe like I knew. Then I came to see it. Then when I see, believe it or not, when I dekha hood hai, and there's some sort of setup was already there. The dishwasher was there. So again, it was like the monetary part. I was like, okay, technically to start a restaurant, even before COVID, you would still 40,000 ka chahiye setup, right? With the furniture and everything. I mean, now it's even more expensive, but even at that point, you were still looking at 40,000 easy. So when I saw the hood and I saw the dishwasher and the cooler, I was like, you know what? We're
Okay,
gonna
so
take this. So I wouldn't think
sorry, when you say
twice.
40,000, you mean the startup cost is 40,000. Sub setup karna kitchen.
That was
Okay.
before, yeah.
So you
Abhi
found this
to
ideal
yeah.
location ki okay, this equipment is there. But did you have to research कि would who was your आपने ये सोचा कि customers आएंगे नहीं आएंगे because ये COVID time भी था जैसे आपने बोला and lot of restaurants were shutting down.
Hmm. बहुत बड़ा risk one. Yes, yes. So मैंने खोला COVID के बाद. थोड़ा सा COVID जब that was May 2020. one we opened like the Memorial Day. So उस समय and my restaurant has like
तो
65
तब
seats
एक्चुअली आने लगा
capacity
था.
है. But believe it or not, we just opened.
Okay.
Huh.
Hmm.
So May 2021. So even like the capacity is like 65. I only opened with 12 tables and chairs to keeping that distance thing. And honestly, I thought it more as a takeout than dine in. But eventually the math of word धीरे धीरे पता चलते गया and busy होते गए, and then we bought some more tables and more dining seats.
And public, what
हाँ.
were you thinking? What kind of customers were you thinking आएंगे?
So मुझे जब मैंने खोला तो obviously there was a lot of excitement because during COVID मैंने किया था. So the only time during COVID, what happened, my parents
Okay.
were at home. So they weren't running was they weren't allowed until like the
Hmm.
vaccine was done and everything. So I got too involved in the grocery store. I was running that. And during that time I only cooked for doctors and nurses during that time. So was like I spot based
Hmm.
था मेरे पास टिफिन का ना. तो एक्चुअली उस पॉइंट पे जब मैंने रेस्टोरेंट खोला मैंने टिफिन
Okay.
सर्विस उस समय बंद नहीं किया था. तो उस समय टिफिन मैंने चलाया. So the tiffin was like functional until August
अच्छा.
2022 तक था.
Okay.
Fully functional. So बंद नहीं किया. Instead of doing it every day, we did it 3 days a week instead of every day. Or so थोड़ा सा उसको change किया and we did
Okay.
still run with that. And then the restaurant started getting busy and delivery की भी because we are in Bethlehem and
Hmm.
हमारे customer Trexler town में थे. तो logistic की भी इतनी problem हो रही थी. So that was another reason. And sometimes like traffic and all was just getting at a point like sometimes just
Right.
good to leave at a
So,
high note.
what was your risk going into this business? So, one you mentioned was COVID time था, पर आपको ये समझ में आ गया था कि टेकआउट का बिजनेस ज्यादा हो रहा है कोविड में. तो that was not hard. But और क्या रिस्क थे आपके like before getting in? क्योंकि it's a big investment, right? आप I don't know कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट किया था आपने, अगर आप वो भी शेयर कर सको तो, to start with.
So the to start it was around 25,000, you know. So the equipment thing I was left was with the hood. So tandoor, the gas cooker, and the fridges and stuff. The initial investment was 25,000. But again, so I didn't drop my tiffin ka jo ek gaadi hai na uska to, so I didn't drop the wheel of the tiffin. So the restaurant was getting busier and the tiffin was still
Okay.
always there. So
Okay.
that income was there. Catering was still there. That kind of minimized my risk in a sense.
Okay.
So वो अगर चल भी रहा था तो कि कम से
Right.
कम ये बैकअप था मेरे पास कि ये जो खर्चे होते हैं शायद हमारे खर्च वो निकल रहे थे. So that was initially that's all you कि at least I should be able to pay my rent. I should be able to for the chefs and everything. So that was never never became an issue. Thankfully, इतना backup or setup था और इतना support था community का. Let's put it that way.
What were your family और आपके कोई एडवाइजर्स थे जो जिससे आप कंसल्ट कर रहे थे कि ये करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए? बिकॉज बहुत रिस्की टाइम है, राइट? लाइक आप अपने अराउंड बस ये सुन रहे हो कि रेस्टोरेंट्स बंद हो रहे हैं एंड आपका टिफिन सर्विस भी काफी अच्छा चल रहा था जैसे आपने कहा, राइट? इट वाज पेइंग योर बिल्स. सो आपने ऐसे कुछ कंसल्ट किया था किसी को, आपके एडवाइजर्स?
Oh, my so the way like family know like इसने अगर सोच लिया तो ये करेगी sort of thing. So if she's put her mind to it, there's nothing. It's better just to
ओके.
support her rather than
बोलने वाला
and
नहीं था ऐसा कुछ.
no, I don't like my dad has always been supportive, and somehow the parents know
ओके.
what your kids are capable of. Mom do, we all do that, but deep down they all knew what kind of have and what kind of I will give more than 10%. They certainly told me it's hard work and trust
वाओ.
18 hours a day. I've worked 20 hours a day to get things done and to execute things.
How much?
So the hard
Yeah. So, and how much of your
there,
investment did you risk, like percentage wise?
100% ना.
No, I mean,
दूसरों को कब
कितना
दिखेगा
पैसा आपने सेविंग से निकाला ऐसा, समथिंग लाइक दैट की.
सब अपने किया, you believe it or not, like if people who are listening to my podcast is gonna like this is what Sonia was doing. So so we're opened in May, and in month of February I did in my tiffin I did Indian thali. So every week I did thali of different states, and I learned so much during that. मैंने एक हफ्ते एक दिन एक हफ्ते जयपुर
Hmm.
थाली की, राजस्थानी थाली, I did Kerala, and I did uh, like Punjabi
Hmm.
thali and Bengali thali. So we did 4 or 5. वो
Okay.
इतना सुपर हिट हुआ था ना, तो believe it or not, like I bought my like tandoor and
Wow.
my
Okay.
gas cooker through that. That kind of
Hmm.
creativity kind of happened because जब जरूरत पड़ती है तो दिमाग
Right.
लगाना पड़ता वाला हाल है, right? So when you need it, so that's how I was like, how do I fundraise,
Hmm.
more fundraise, right? And everybody, I learned so much. We did Kashmiri thali and rajma,
Hmm.
Punjabi dish, right? We claim it, but
Hmm.
Kashmiri rajma is like another level. Aludam, Bengal में भी aludam बनता है, और
Hmm.
जो Kashmiri aludam है, that's different. I was like, again, it was very good learning curve, very good fundraising for my business, because I thought that sarson ka tel is mostly used like,
Hmm.
I grew up in Bihar, Jamshedpur se. तो मुझे लगा कि Bengali cuisine uses sarson tel more. I was surprised to like learn and see like Kashmiri cuisine में भी सरसों का तेल बहुत यूज होता है. Because so when you talk about पैसे कहाँ से, यहाँ से पैसे किए
Oh,
मैंने
okay. Okay.
थाली
Okay. Okay.
सेल कर करके.
Through the meal service.
Yeah, and that's how I
Hmm.
fundraised for my equipment. And like I said, it's such God. We would get
Wow.
like 50 tiffin orders, and believe me or not, and that we were in transitional stage at that point, and only God knows how I did that. Like I had one lady who's been with me for
Okay.
like from the beginning. She would come to my house. We would cook, and we would cook, and we would pack, and we would but it was the best time, I would say. It was like you see your dream coming true.
सोचा कब और मई में तो
Huh.
ओपन हुआ, बट हाउ लॉन्ग बिफोर इट वर यू वर्किंग ऑन इट?
Oh, I would say I signed the lease like in September 2020.
Peak COVID.
So the whole process,
Okay.
yeah, long time, no? And I think again, winters came, and now I've learned from the mistakes. Sometimes we feel like we can do things quickly, or we'll do save money and do it ourselves. But trust me, there's reasons why you have the
So
expert in every field. Now, of course, I can go paint the wall, but if I have hired somebody with a big quicker, of course I can tile. Of
hmm.
course, we can all do things. But you're professional. I mean, that's what I've learned.
Basically signed the lease, and after that you were figuring out कि अभी how to raise
Mm.
money.
Sort of, yes. Believe me, मैंने हुड तुमको बोला ना पहले कि मैंने वो देखा,
Yeah.
हुड है, डिशवॉशर है, कूलर है यार. I did not even go back and think about it. Like मैंने उसको मेरे कट में I think $200 थे. मैंने बोला ये लो तुम एडवांस मेरा. ऐसे तो that's फैमिली ने क्या बोला, अब उनको मालूम है, अब ये करके आई है तो मतलब कहीं ना कहीं तो पहुंचाएगी उसको. So they my family, my younger sister and my older sister, I have two sisters, so they always there in the background. They, you'll be fine. I don't know why you're panicking. I don't know why you're stressing yourself out. You'll be fine. And that sometimes that's all you need to hear, that you'll be fine and you're fine. You'll be okay. So
So how lease आपने कितना साइन किया था? 1 साल 2 साल?
no. I think with any business lease, usually I would say a couple of years तो ऐसे ही चले जाते हैं, which I can't believe it's like nearly gonna be 3 years in May.
Oh, so you had to sign a 10-year lease.
Yeah, and I would sign too if I would, because once you invest that much building that business, the last thing you want is negotiating after 5 years. No, मेरे को तो यही रहना है अभी, because now last year we did very well. Every
Hmm.
single event we did catering, so we did 3 caterings, 4 caterings, and so we did over like 100 and I think we were counting at some point 165 events last year, and over the weekends, over the weekdays.
So
So
एक question था.
did
So
well now.
ownership wise, do you think this is a heavily
Male
dominated?
industry.
Oh my God, definitely. Yeah. And I just believe me not, like shuru I remember like where I did like a wedding catering, and I mean that customer, I still remember him. He doubted me so much. I'm like, guy, I can win a war if you want me to send me to the like I have cooked more than this. I can manage more than this. And then I go on explaining to them, listen, okay, I do catering now, but I worked in project management. I have a project managed background. So even like
Yeah.
catering भी कर रही हूँ तो वो मेरा experience I use it. क्या
Right.
और क्या गड़बड़ हो सकती है, ये नहीं हुआ तो कैसे करेंगे, ये नहीं आया तो क्या होगा, स्टाफ इनफ नहीं है, लेट हो गया है स्टाफ. So ये सब strategy building is still there. So I would say initially people were, how a woman's gonna
Hmm.
execute this wedding order, how she's gonna do it. And many times, trust me, I have come across and I've been very firm with them. No bullshit zone. Like I'm out there to do the job. Let me do the job. Once I've done it, then you come and talk to me. सही है कि नहीं
Right.
सही. बीच में आके गड़बड़ मत करो. Like मैं काम कर रही हूँ. So I'm very firm like that. But yes, it's a very much male dominated. But I've set my boundaries.
How was your past experience helpful in this business?
Past experience, I would say, is like when back home, like in England, I worked in sales, marketing. That kind of helped me bringing the business in the restaurant. I've been having that sales experience kind of helped me realize how important it is. Like, your product will sell, but if you're not
Right.
marketing it to right set of people, and if you're not doing it correctly, it's not going to work. So, marketing is very important. And then again, I worked as a manager as well. So, team management that helped. And working like in a corporate sector, you realize I feel like Hamari, like
Hmm.
I'm not saying generally, but sometimes I feel the chef and the dishwasher
Hmm.
or the guy in the front or guy who's working on the tandoor in so much heat, they
Okay.
all get treated the same
Okay.
with the same respect. अगर आपके front end में और back end में तालमेल नहीं है ना, तो restaurant चलाना बहुत मुश्किल है because जो मर्जी कर ले वो front वाला बंदा, he could be as good, but if the back end is not on there, like if they don't have good communication, it's gonna come out. So that I think, telling them very clearly that you have to respect each other no matter where his station is. So kind of I think comes from my previous experiences having
Hmm.
managing like 30 doing installations all over the country. So that I think came very handy in managing different
Okay.
characters.
The interesting part ये है कि the more you are
हाँ,
in a job, right, the difficult it gets to start your own business. तो ये transition कैसे हुआ आपको? Like, how did you get into business?
मेरे को लगता I was wrongly in the job. I should have always be doing the
And when
business.
did you realize that?
So this goes back. A lot of influence is there in my life with all the women around me. When you say like, how was your transition? So I would say I was meant to be doing business.
Okay.
मैं नौकरी में गलती से चले गई थी. तो I like पापा ने किया है business, so obviously we seen him. And then my बुआ इंडिया में वो स्वेटर का business करती थी. तो जब मैं छोटी होती थी, like I would say 13, 14. So winters mein she would take me and I would go with her to like the fun fair jahan pe like stalls lagte the and I would be the salesperson. So I would talk to people and sell stuff. कभी भी बेचती थी सामान सबको. And then कभी कभी छुट्टियों में छोटी मौसी के पास चली गई तो वो लाइक उनको वो भी खाना बनाने की बहुत शौकीन थी नानी की तरह तो वो मुझे जबरदस्ती लाइक
Hmm.
मुझे याद है मक्की की रोटी लाइक did not know how to make makki di roti. What kind of Punjabi? I was like, so that, and then my Masi, she was a businesswoman and she's the one who got us to England. So wo unka bhi influence tha, like how she manages her personal life and business. So, as a young girl, you watch all these ladies around you, like even before us coming onto this stage, they're already doing all these things. There's a lot of influence. And then I learned, I would say, a lot of cooking from my mother-in-law too, like back in England. So this was like 90s. तभी उतना वो नहीं था. Abhi, like it's a lot more progress, but there would be still like on Sundays, like let's make some mathiyan, let's make some samosas at home. तो हमारा संडे तो खराब होता था पर मैंने उनको एक बार फोन करके बोला था कि I'm sorry, I used to hate you then, but I absolutely appreciate you now because that's where I learned some of my like bulk cooking. और डर नहीं लगता था काम से मैनेज कर लेंगे तो वो कुछ उनसे भी सीखा है कुछ मम्मी से कुछ चाची से so every kind of woman around me inspired some like backup है sisters लोगों का backup है so नौकरी गलती से की है
मतलब वो
business
नौकरी गलती से जो आप
करना
बोल
ही
रहे
था
हो, लाइक व्हाट वाज द रीजन कि तब आपको रियलाइज नहीं हुआ कि कोई बिजनेस कर सकते हैं वो आप यहाँ
and then like kids were young then it would have been a lot of risk right this age it's like
Okay.
only about food and
Right.
money
Okay.
अभी
Yeah, I think the only fun thing in US is business, which is what you're doing.
वो भी hard है it's not easy because you have to be a tough cookie so days are good some days are bad but have faith in all this what keeps me together is have faith in yourself have faith in your work and true not
Right,
every
right.
day is hunky-dory sometimes we don't get the best feedback but then days like today we sent out chole bhature couple of days ago. So somebody instead of writing just a text, they called, "Hey, I was at that party and hamare chole bhature was out of word." That made my day.
Nice.
That's all I needed. So it's a tough game because I tell my staff and I tell, like, I could cook for you 100 times and I cook it all good. If I like miss it one time or एक बार में मेरे से गलती हो गई ना तो वो 100 का कुछ फायदा नहीं है और मैं केटरिंग एवरी वीकेंड करती हूँ पर मुझे वो डर पहले दिन वाला आज भी है कि अगर मैंने इसको सही नहीं किया तो बस एंड है सोनिया लाइक वो डर एंड आई थिंक दैट फियर and that passion or the willingness to go extra mile is what kind of is important. We only get one chance. That's one of the biggest challenges I would say is like nobody considers like as human like एक बारी गलती हुई तो बस 1 मिनट लगाते हैं गूगल में जाने के लिए बोला
Okay.
शुरू में
And
गड़बड़ी
आपने ये भी बताया था कि you actually started with a grocery business in 2016. So वो idea कैसे आया?
That was actually somebody like at a grocery store big guy, somebody selling it, that sort of thing.
So that
That
just
just
that
came.
opportunity came along, but आप तभी भी और कुछ दूसरा काम कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे?
We had a gas station. We were managing that. So then the
Okay,
grocery
okay.
store came up.
How is the gas station business? इंडिया में तो सुनते हैं कि काफी अच्छा होता है.
I didn't. It wasn't my calling. Let's put it that way. It wasn't my calling, and it was just like one thing after another. Is just so when I started cooking, yeah, and started doing Tiffin service, it was getting busy and busy and busy, and like sometimes it's your calling, and it's when you're passionate about things, and if it's going the right way, and then you get a lot of encouragement from the community and a lot of good feedback, and that was like the direction it was going. So I would say lost in once I got into my Tiffin service.
But isn't it very lucrative though? I thought gas stations are very lucrative.
Depends where you are. It wasn't certainly for me, didn't work for me. And sometimes like I just sometimes feel like it's like want to do sometimes, but wherever your destiny is meant to be, meant to be. Yeah, you should take signs. I should have taken signs earlier. Like शुरू में समझ आ जाना चाहिए थे कि मुझे छोले भटूरे बेचने हैं.
Okay. Okay. Getting into your restaurant operations business, so it's like the overall licensing process. Is that also a lot to go through to set up? Insurance is also a big deal, right? And
Like
especially in food industry.
I always day one say insurance है. It's very important because यहाँ
Ah,
तो sue करे छे
right.
एक मिनट में. So it's anything is wrong, it's that's yeah. And again, allergies are like so big. So we make sure our kitchen is not free, no sesame, and like all the menu items are labeled clearly. Gluten free है, इसमें नहीं है. That thing. And then once you've set up restaurant, you need to have one of the person available all times needs to be ServSafe certified. And that I took actually I took it before even like तो जब चलने लग गया शुरू में किया like 5-10 customers so I realized like process is in place, it's for your own good. And that really helped me make sure because honestly like allergies was never talked about at least when I was growing up,
Right. India, maybe never heard that.
right?
Yeah, with so many rules. I know you said process is in place, it's for your own good. But how do you get, like, how does someone get motivated? There is so many things to start with.
Motivation. So I think it's like any other job, right? If you would want to
Right.
do something, you have to do it right. And when you're dealing with public health,
Hmm.
essentially, like they're going to be food, it's very, very important that it becomes your priority. Cleanliness is your priority.
So I was
Has
asking
has
because I had decided to once participate in a farmers market in US, and with the rules they sent
huh.
me a form to fill. They asked me insurance to get so many rules, and I was like, I cannot do it. I guess you're right. There is a different level of motivation required, and the passion you have for food. And how much insurance do you have to pay? Is insurance very expensive?
Right now, because I employees, so we have to make sure that we have workers' compensation. Then we have building a requirement है. And because it's a high risk, you're dealing with
Hmm.
hot oil all the time. And I'm such a क्या बोलते हैं उसको mm, oh what's the word they call me all the time. I'm so stressed about like heat
Hmm.
जब छोले भटूरे बनते हैं ना तो like and if there's like it's busy like we're on I was like always watch the oil temperature
Okay.
of the oil. I make sure because it's very very easy like you constantly like tandoor chal raha hai. It's already heat there, and there's open. It's one of the big
Hmm.
cause of fires in restaurant is heating the hot oil. So yes, very expensive, and we just make sure somebody's like you're not allowed to leave it. Like they'll sort of
Hmm.
like you turn the oil pan on, and you're not. If you leave that, you like I. That's like something I don't tolerate. Like little things like that. It's not little.
Right.
It's very high risk. You know, it takes 1 minute that thing to flare up. Very high risk.
Do you
The whole
share like a cost estimate, monthly fixed cost जो आपको लगता है with all these things like salaries and insurance and for running a restaurant?
35.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know how America has business laws that protect business owners because if things go wrong. तो आपने कुछ
Hmm.
ऐसे लोन वगैरह लिया था to start your business?
Nahi, nahi, nahi. So I because we were here on a business visa, E2 visa, we're not like US citizens. So when you're an E2 visa, you're like an investor visa. So we don't have that privilege. You have to be either green card holder or you have to be a US citizen to get loans or from the government. Thankfully पैसे की इतनी और like इतना इश्यू इसलिए नहीं हुई because मैंने टिफिन को तब तक नहीं छोड़ा जब तक मुझे मालूम था कि ये
Okay.
restaurant is like
So you
in a
always
good place. And I was like, I am getting busy. I
okay.
have catering and I need to focus on this because catering is that's
Hmm.
where money comes from. It's very hard work. It's
Hmm.
very time consuming. That's another gap like Lehigh Valley may. There's no full service from the restaurants to do. If you wanted something full service, you
Okay.
have to go to New Jersey. So that was another thing for me is like I provided full service and I made sure to go above and beyond for my customers. So that kind of
Okay.
helped me grow a little bit as well. It kind of धीरे-धीरे हो जाता
And
है.
how do you find chefs are in USA, like with Indian specialty cooking?
So किसी ज्ञानी ने मुझे बोला था कि सोनिया like this is like when I actually started and that's like best advice I got from somebody was like so always keep like a chef in a hand. So that's like when I started and I was remember I was like shopping for some doors. So I think it was one of my supplier who said that to me. Always keep a chef in hand and I do that. So abhi mere jo chefs hain, they were very good, very professional, very talented.
So how do you find them?
Like usually network ban jata hai na. So like when I was looking last time, not everybody came through. Baat nahi bani unse, but you have a list of people always looking for work, and then you call inside network जिसको बोलते
Okay.
हैं वो है restaurants वालों का. Then the restaurant people, you will ask them or you'll call some other chef. Like the kind of industry में है, but I've never used the website. It's called Tarka Chef, I believe. Most
Okay.
of the time, it's like networking. Like I would,
Are they Indian
and
or
there
can Americans also learn?
more अभी तक तो Indian ही आए हैं. And I think, I used to have a American guy
Okay.
who was my catering manager, and it is quite easily, kind of सीख जाते हैं. But थोड़ा time लगता है उनको understand करने के लिए because dal makhani was once served in like soup bowl and I'm like यार हमारी dal makhani तो dal makhani है soup bowl में नहीं जाएगी. So but like eventually he was so trained I could send him to a catering event even execute it even better than me. Where he used to, trust me, he used to eat pani puri. He was like, Sonia, not again this. Because when we have pani puri in catering, like, we go to hundreds of boxes. And he's like, how much do they eat? That's one thing they used to say to me. And they still, like, how much you guys eat? Like, you just had like 5 appetizers. You want more food? That you guys
In
eat a
terms
lot.
of your chef, you always keep like a backup.
रखना पड़ता नहीं तो मैं हूँ ना. So sometimes if they have a couple of days off, then I'll work.
So you started
Yeah.
focusing with takeout orders. How much of your business now is takeout orders versus dine-in?
I would say 60-40 split है. Of 40 is dine and 60 to 70% actually is takeout.
And
क्या smart
this
ना
this was a new thing I
लगेगा.
discovered in USA, and it is very interesting. Like over here, with any Indian dish, you get rice for free. Why is that?
Hmm.
This wasn't there in India.
You ask Chinese people that, I'm telling you.
Oh,
They started this. Yeah, I think it's because you go buy a curry in Chinese restaurant, they give you free rice, and then it's like, why don't
oh,
you guys give free rice, sort of thing. That's
okay,
how it started in America.
yeah.
Them.
Do you think that's an interesting idea to apply in India? Will the restaurant stand out? क्योंकि इंडिया में आप राइस फ्री दे दो तो लोग खुश हो जाएंगे, right?
They should, no? I mean, unless if they want to stand out, like how would one eat butter chicken like agar rice nahi doge? Garlic naan is my upsell. So I will tell you, would you want to order garlic naan unless they have gluten allergies, take rice. So, but if there's a dine-in, then definitely what bread would you like with it? So that's an upsell. And then sometimes like customers, if I sell like 10 tubs out of it, like let's say there's 10 customers who want extra rice and they buy for $2.99, my money's come back, पैसे आ गए. So or कभी-कभी, you don't make money on everything. There's like you have tickets or items we make more money on, some we don't. Some are more time consuming, some are easily made.
So what is your strategy on making customers happy with your service, with your product?
I only get one chance. So whenever the customer is ordering, that is my only chance to please that customer. If I don't do it right now, I'm never going to be able to. I don't know whether I'll get another chance or not. opportunity or not. So that is my kind of goal, and that's what I like staff को भी बोला हुआ है कि अगर आप सही नहीं करोगे तो वो मे बी आपको
Hmm.
फीडबैक भी नहीं देगा, वो चला जाएगा और जब चला जाएगा तो वो मुड़ के नहीं आएगा, दैट मीन्स यू
Yeah.
लॉस्ट दैट कस्टमर।
But are there tactics
तो
you use to
इफ
make
इफ
sure they have a good experience?
खाना अच्छा होना चाहिए, खाना
Okay.
अच्छा होना चाहिए, फ्रेश तो है, but it has to look good, it has to be done in timely fashion। अगर we can't give them कच्चा खाना और
Hmm.
like वो अगर जल्दी बोल रहा है तो मैनेज करना पड़ता है कभी-कभी। Sometimes you get people who come out to enjoy the evening, so उनको we have a rule like 7 minutes में if they've ordered a cold chaat, like if they ordered pani puri or malai papadi, 7 minutes में they should have appetizer on the table.
Okay.
That's the rule we have.
Okay.
So एक बार appetizer जाने के बाद we have bought ourselves a time now, they're enjoying and relaxing, but at the same time you would get customers who've come hungry and they want the food immediately. So
Hmm.
you get that.
So
But
ये 7 minutes
end of the
कहाँ से
day,
आया? Like, how did you come up with 7 minutes में appetizer
like
service?
it's like from my own experience, I feel once you go to the restaurant, a couple of minutes to
Hmm.
settle down, and then you start looking, and once they've ordered the food, and जो हमारा cold chaat section है, malai
Hmm.
papdi chaat है, and pani puri है, golgappa bombs है, so that doesn't take long
Right.
to prepare. And even like our samosas, they're already here. You have to fry them and give it out. That shouldn't take long. Samosa chaat shouldn't take long. If they order tandoor item, of course, 20 minutes is needed, but
Hmm.
most of the time, I think it's doable. Once they've ordered, like within 7 minutes, it should be there because once you put an appetizer on the table, unki like jo appetite takes there, it's satisfied, right?
Hmm.
Now the next course is to enjoy the meal. If you
Right.
leave them hungry, hanging out 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the experience is already like, I don't think it's a good experience.
Right.
हमारी community में, like you get some customers, American customers laid back, but then sometimes you get Deshis, they're like भूख लगी है, अभी खाना
Right.
तो time लगेगा sir.
Yeah. What is the
Actually,
percentage of American customers versus Indian customers you get?
मेरे पास I think 50-50 है. I mean, again, हमारा जो खाना है, like it's more like we have a good mixture of street food, Indo-Chinese है,
Hmm.
जो कुछ restaurants में नहीं है. We have kathi rolls that kind of bring customers or lunch customers in. Then chaats है, golgappa bombs है, pani puri है. So good mixture है, casual भी है, formal भी है.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
I would say, वो restaurant चलाते हैं और they like Indian community मेरी catering चलाती है. So they have
Okay.
it's a good like
Okay. Nice. What do American customers come? What are they looking for when they come for?
authentic food.
Okay.
Authentic. They've so dahi puri golgappa bombs. That's like our best sellers. So we recommend to try it. They love it, and they love our onion bhajis.
Hmm.
Mostly chicken tikka masala, but then unko fir main batati hu, like we talk about what we have different than other Indian restaurants,
Hmm.
like our dhaba style chicken curry or like our chicken ghee roast.
Hmm.
So introduce them to new stuff. But again, like coming from England, I feel key America is still behind in terms of experience like Indian food.
Hmm.
Like I still come across like a diner who hasn't tried Indian food.
Okay.
So how is US behind in terms of what?
No, because like अगर तुम इंग्लैंड में जाओगे तो हर नुक्कड़ पे या हर कोने पे तुमको इंडियन टेक आउट मिलेगा and then it's there.
Okay.
यहाँ पे I mean like अभी we have really good choices here. North Indian है, South Indian है.
Hmm.
It's very good choice we have in Lehigh Valley now, but I still feel people have there's a lot more to capture, a lot more to a lot more left to join in the brown side, I say.
Yeah, and this is what I've always wondered. Why is when you talk about Indian food outside, restaurants, why is it always
Mm.
Punjabi cuisine or South Indian cuisine? India has so many states, so many cultures. Why are these two cuisines only very popular? Like I
Yeah, if you look at my menu and that, like, I think I personally, my personal experience, I grew up in Jamshedpur, right? So Jamshedpur is a city where everybody from India came and settled in. Like my padosis were from Rajasthan, वही मारवाड़ी थे
Uh-huh.
एंड लाइक आई एम पंजाबी बगल में बंगाली थे बिहारी फ्रेंड्स थे सो साउथ इंडियन फ्रेंड्स थे स्कूल में
Mm-hmm.
and believe it or not I grew up eating dosas every Sunday morning. That was like that's what we would eat,
Mm.
like dosas and idlis Sunday morning. And to me अभी अगर कहीं डोसा सही बनता है तो आई कंपेयर इट माय डोसा वाला कि यार लंबू जैसा डोसा बना है
Mm.
उसके जैसा डोसा बना है. That's what was in my mind too. Like it's this is like Indian street food. We have chicken ghee roast is a Kerala dish.
Okay.
Rajasthani lal mas is from Rajasthan.
Hmm.
So kathi roll essentially comes from Calcutta,
Okay.
and Indo-Chinese is like from all over. So dahi puri, you could say, comes from Gujarat.
Hmm.
Malai papri chaat you get. So when I was creating the menu, I wanted to make sure it's not like typical South Indian or Punjabi menu. I try to keep a good mixture of it. And we have chole bhature, we have aloo puri and halwa in the menu.
Hmm.
So I made sure that I bring my experiences because I felt like growing up in Jamshedpur, I had like everything from India was there.
Okay.
So that was the goal for me to bring the authentic Indian food from all over India.
Yeah. I think now it's changing.
India ka sweet, oh my God. Oh, yeah, I am very jealous of this food scene now. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. In
कुछ मेरे को लगता है कभी-कभी when I follow street food hawkers को follow, like everything has cheese now. I'm like,
Hmm.
please stop it.
Right. Oh,
Please.
oh my God. Yeah. Everything has cheese. Like I had a
Yeah, and I'm like, you guys going like backwards again. Stop that cheese business.
yeah. My brother took me to a place to have a burger, and I was like, okay. And that burger has instead of patty, it has cheese as a patty,
Mm,
and it was soaked with spices. I am like,
mm.
this is crazy the amount. And then it was topped with
Yeah,
butter on the bun, and
no, too much. No, they just I think some part of it I believe has like creativity की मतलब क्या बोलूं मैं like जान निकाल दी है. Just because I have to do something different. No, let's make a cheese pani puri. I've seen some disgusting ideas. I'm like, honestly, to me, samosa could be aloo wala samosa, like paneer ka samosa ho gaya, and spinach and cheese kind of come with the Greek from the Greek kind of inspiration. But like chocolate samosa, like
Mhm.
really, I mean, creativity is good. So, but that cutoff point nahi hai abhi wahan pe. No? They're so big on the chocolates and shakes and stuff. So
yeah, chocolate.
it's good in a way, but the same, there's got to be like a, I think cutoff hona chahiye, disgusting creation. Like somebody needs to tell them to stop it with the cheese. Like especially like the street vendors. I was like, bhaiya, usme golgappe mein cheese mat dal.
Yeah.
You don't need cheese in the like everything. Like pav bhaji doesn't need cheese, it needs butter. And like you
Right.
still say there's some cheese in there. Vada pav, original vada pav. I've seen all the original vada pav getting plastered with cheese, and that really upset me. The vada pav does not cheese.
Need. Yeah. It's famous for its chutney and the vada.
Yes, yes, just leave it like. But again, I think it's India is so blessed in sense of cuisine.
Hmm.
That's why I feel people or the restaurants stick to what they're not to confuse
Hmm.
people because sometimes when you're trying to do everything, it really, you could mess it up because you then need a chef for a South Indian food. Then you would need
Yeah.
a chef for North Indian food who specializes in North Indian food.
Okay.
So that, but again, for the love of food, or
Okay. So how do you do your marketing for your restaurant? What are some things that have worked for you?
Instagram does the job, Facebook does the job, and most of the time with my, it's usually people being here Yeah, so they refer that happens, and then I have a marketing team in India
Okay.
जो reels बना देते हैं उनको मैं बताती हूँ like we have to work on the Valentine's Day, 26 जनवरी का करना है कुछ, all that thing. So yeah, the hands-on team, and then they will put stuff out.
How do you think those reels and everything help you in your business? Do you think there is some impact with that?
I think many times like the reels, the customer engagement is important. Now, if something is trending, and then if we are posting and jumping on the wagon,
Okay.
how you know how these algorithms work.
Right. Yeah, but do they drive
If
business for you directly?
uh, I feel it does. If it's something is trending, we've jumped on the wagon and it's doing very well, then certainly I see the clicks and I see people then.
Hmm.
And then if we have done a beautiful catering event and then people are asking about the catering event, so then they sometimes if they are searching on Google looking for Indian caterers, and then they go and look up the work.
Got it.
But yeah, definitely the reels and the videos do make a difference. And I think it does drive customers in, because if somebody's posted a story, you're sharing them, there's like 100 people now seeing it, even they're not bhook nahi lagi hai, they're not thinking of bhel puri, they're not thinking of butter chicken.
Right.
But when it's there, it's what the phone is feeding you. That's how it is right now. So whether we like it or not like it, but that's how it is. Is you have to be seen to be known and to be successful, or to be at least wanted to be.
Right. So is that marketing cost covered under your fixed cost? Sorry,
Oh,
running cost of
yeah.
35,000 महीने का?
Mhm.
What is major portion of that
Marketing,
cost?
labor, labor.
Labor. How much is labor cost?
30 of 100%, 40% to labor है.
Okay.
Because in this again industry may sometimes I get like discount, सस्ता कर दीजिए सोनिया जी, or discount, and I can't bring my quality down, right? So the only thing then it becomes to down is, oh, we can take one man less, right? Then becomes a service issue.
Yeah.
So I think the labor, and I think labor after COVID has been expensive too. Generally,
Okay.
not many people want to work.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the most difficult part as well, because you can sometimes deal with everything else, and you get chefs की बात की है तो they feel like, या फिर जो पुराने हैं बहुत times they हैं business में, उनको लगता है कि they're the boss, or they can bully everybody or get around. So that's very difficult, and come sometimes we just get into an argument and the stress, and then it gets busy. It's a very stressful place. It's a very stressful job to get those orders out without messing it up,
Right.
to get everything out. I mean, chef's job is not easy to, especially in like summer. May imagine being in front of that tandoor like 8 hours a day.
Right.
It does hard work.
As a business owner, do you miss in those holidays? Because एक तरफ आपको पैसा आ रहा है, बिजनेस आ रहा है, and दूसरी तरफ एक हॉलिडे.
ऐसा नहीं आता भैया, यही तो प्रॉब्लम है कभी-कभी. No, कभी-कभी, I mean, because I've lived that life, I don't miss it as much, but it's very much needed. I would say before, like on Tuesdays, my day off, I would have my phone on and I would still answer the phone. But now I think I turn my phone off. I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
So there, you have to draw the boundaries yourself, and you take out a couple of days and you take a break and you just tell them ki you're not working.
Yeah, because I
So
come from a business, like my father has a business, and I think he never took a vacation in his life. Maximum 2 days. उससे ज़्यादा नहीं हो पाता था. Is that the case here?
हाँ, नहीं हो पाता है. हाँ नहीं हो पाता है बट अगर staff सही है then you are in very good position if you could do that if you have somebody on the backup who could run it while you go on the vacation then good thing. I've done it. Last year I did 4 trips. And I think just like your dad, my dad's like नहीं लिया होगा vacation. पापा ने भी नहीं लिया होगा. पर हमारा थोड़ा भी क्या बोलते हैं setup सही different है.
Hmm.
Kind of. I think like last year, just after Thanksgiving, I got into a big accident, and that kind of changed my perspective. And then I was like, you know what? If कुछ हो जाता तो सब धरा 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 का धरा रह जाता है यहाँ पे. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that kind of was a little eye opener for me in a sense that you got to take some time off for yourself. Your health is very important.
Have you heard of this concept called ghost kitchens?
Hmm. Mhm.
So, what is your thought about that? Does it make your life easier because you're not having a front operation, you're not having a sit down operation?
Definitely worth it and workable in big cities
Okay.
where everybody's on the go, they're working long hours. They're in an industry where they have to work night times and then in the morning, night shift kar rahe hain, subah ka,
Yeah.
breakfast or khana. So certainly there is a market for it, and I think they're doing very well because there's no front end cost.
Hmm. Okay.
So I don't think it's a bad idea, but I do feel it's like has to be certain market. You have to be certainly located in like a big cities
Okay.
for it to be successful. You have to be a densely populated city for it to be successful
Okay.
and make it work.
In
Because यहाँ पे तो like Lehigh Valley में they're looking for experience, they want to come out.
right.
So
In
um,
social media pe, you know how these days we were talking about how food is evolving and people are experimenting, getting creative. How do you incorporate that in your restaurant business? Do you try out new things frequently? What?
mm, mhm. So at least twice a year we change our menu, and we're actually bringing a new menu out in I think February May launch करेंगे. So we've added like palak patta chaat to our menu,
Hmm.
which we didn't have before. Jaipuri chicken tikka. So that's marinated with different spices, homemade spices. And then usko fir jab it comes out with desi ghee because, Rajasthani.
Hmm.
So yes, we want to make changes. And whatever sometimes we see, it's like a slow seller or it doesn't move as fast. It's been there, it's order nahi aaya hai. Or
Hmm.
sometimes we get asked about like tandoori fish a lot, which we didn't have. So we're bringing it back. We did have it initially. We took it off. We're bringing it back.
Hmm.
Yes, definitely. All the time, it's needed. Again, you can't have that one.
Like, how do you decide? Because there are probably hundreds of items out there. How do you decide what
Mhm.
item to try next?
So again, like abhi jo Jaipuri chicken tikka hai, first of all, though, when it comes to our head, like okay, I want to try this. So you look up a recipe or you do the recipe yourself. Mujhe lagta hai, and we tried ourselves, and it came out amazing. Like sometimes I send it to my daughter, and she'll try and let me know. Have it next morning if it's still juicy, it's still good,
Hmm.
and she's like my food critic.
Okay.
Like my friends will like. So that's how then we're like, okay, we're gonna add this. And then we see like some of the items which we're not selling enough of, then we take it off and then bring it back eventually when people miss it.
Okay.
But yes, and creation is again always needed, otherwise you could be boring.
Right.
So
Yeah. Who is your competition?
मेरी competition में. And I don't compete with anybody. I keep an eye on everybody. I've seen customers gone away for cheaper stuff, and I've seen them come back.
Hmm.
And that's another thing I've learned is you should never worry about what you don't have. You should always worry about what you have.
Hmm.
So to me, the customers I have are the most important thing to me,
Right.
rather than the customers who are not, rather than the people who are not my customers.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So if I take care of my customers, I've secured them, right? वो मेरे customers हैं, they're being looked after.
Okay.
If I don't worry about what I have and then worry about what I don't have, I'll never be happy.
And how do you deal with rude customers?
दूसरे दिन जवाब देती हूँ. I respond to them next day.
मतलब
I have to calm down. I have to really think first of all, like when it's like heat of this moment,
Hmm?
like I'm thinking what's best for me. He's thinking he's right. I'm thinking I'm right.
Hmm.
So when you are like next morning, so now everything's calmed down. Your senses are functioning normal. Now then you kind of
You don't think then, you just listen to the customer.
apologize if it's my mistake, if I need to. But if I get a review, I never respond the same day.
Okay.
I would do it very politely. No, अगर तुम like imagine like Punjabi, मैं तो मेरी Punjabi तो वैसे ही खराब है, you know, like I'm very easy on language.
Okay.
So बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगी भैया अगर हम अपनी Punjabi normally बात करें. So I definitely bad reviews. I will sleep on it and then I look from customer's perspective as well कि हमने क्या गलती की थी, right?
Does it bother you a lot to get bad reviews?
Yeah, I mean, bother me, I definitely. So I appreciate reviews. It has to be constructive reviews.
Hmm.
ठीक नहीं सीगा. Like, what is ठीक नहीं सीगा? I've heard Sonia samosa wasn't good. What was not good about the samosa? You tell me, sir.
That was a problem.
The salt ज़्यादा था, मिर्चा ज़्यादा थी, कच्चा था, पका था, जल गया था.
Hmm.
So snake. Then the guy is like, just it wasn't like the last time. I'm like, then that is not something I can, because constructive feedback is something I'd happily take on and work on it.
Okay.
Generalization थोड़ा difficult हो जाता है, and then sometimes I feel people are just like, पहले वाली गाल नहीं है ये, it's not like before. Like what? Like maybe you just had a bad day.
Right.
There was nothing I could have done with the food.
Yeah.
Just because you were eating that samosa in a rush. Yes, feedback always welcome, and I appreciate the feedback because that's how I'm gonna get better.
Yeah. And how consistent is your business throughout the year?
This might sound a little kind of weird, but you need food when somebody is born, like, you know, birthdays. You need food like shadi pay, engagement pay, so graduations pay, funerals pay, kuch bhi hai. There's a get together, food is needed. So now I have that sort of customer base, so consistent hai. Thankfully, we have this year, like every month, we have some sort of graduation booking, wedding hair, trade shows hair, holy events hair, family get together hair, baby showers hair.
What about restaurant business?
Oh, January is slow generally with the snow days as well. This one I would say had been like little slower. Usually we sail through. Last year the January was little warmer than this year. So the snow days affect this day is snowing and the next day because either the drivers are not out or the people, you know, there's no business there. So those in effect hota hai snow days se.
Okay.
But otherwise, January is generally slow anywhere. We all are out of funds because just catching up with our credit card bills from the holiday vacations.
Right.
And gift buying and all that. And then this is the time where I'm not going to eat from outside. We're going to eat healthy.
Right.
I'm going to start cooking this year. And we're not going to go out that much. And we're not going to eat rice. We're not going to eat atta. And all this is happening, right, in January. And then come end of the month, like whoever's is keeping up is keeping up, and whoever's is back to normal is back to normal. So from February, we'll be all good.
So restaurant business only January, but otherwise Feb to December, it's fine.
I think July. So July, May, everybody's on last run of vacations. You know, everybody in July is out of city.
So that's slow too. Okay.
Yeah, July, August, maybe sometimes we feel it because that's when everybody is on vacations or trying to get on vacations. But otherwise, then it's steady business. But I think summertime as well, if it's summer, then people are away for weeks. And sometimes if kids are on vacation to their grandparents as well, that kind of
Right.
affects on the size of the orders too.
What are some areas of your business you wish you could offload to someone?
Offload like from my day-to-day job, I
Yeah.
maybe grocery shopping, huh? Somebody else could do this. Right now, like I'm okay with it. Eventually, when we get into a bigger, another restaurant perhaps
Hmm.
in the future, then definitely that's one thing I've thought about is like, I'm not going, I don't want to do that. Yeah. My goal should be bringing business in. I
Right.
should work on it, not in it. So
How much time does it take to break even in this business?
2 साल. First year is you building your base, you building your customers, you building on sometimes your menu items
Mhm.
are not the customer clientele. So there is constant change.
Okay.
Second year, you know what is needed, what are we doing right, what's wrong, which is not working. Third, you're in a better position, but in all, like I think I said at the beginning, in all you do is it's a very customer focused, very sensitive business. Your quality goes down, you could be here in the business for years. Your restaurant goes in 5 months or 2 months.
Yeah.
So you could be doing this years and years.
Hmm.
Like grandfather could be running the business for years and years. The grandson comes and changes the recipe
Right.
and changes it will might not operate as good.
Right.
So consistency and the quality and the service has to be as good as it was the first time.
Any big learnings you didn't know about it before and you learned about it now with this?
Learn how to say no.
Okay.
Don't take too much on. Yeah, learning how to say no and sometimes to be firm with your pricing is important because in all that up cost cutting karte ho to up either you're jeopardizing the service level or the quality of the food, which you don't want to. To be firm, that's what I've learned. And there's a lot of method as and a lot of math goes into pricing. The cost of the tray, the cost of the lid, once the cooking has been done, the cost of the labor cost and insurance cost. Yeah. So a lot of maths goes into it. It has to be making sense for me. And sometimes it gets difficult when you get customers who want discount. So that's
You have worked quite a bit, right? What have been your regrets?
I've always lived my life on my terms.
Okay.
So my dad has taught me is to be patient. Like everything has a time. Just keep your focus on, no matter. And like positive note, बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Hmm.
Like if I have a bad day today, you wake me up tomorrow, I'll have the same energy I had. And I thank God for that positiveness attitude or जो भी है.
Hmm.
Because गड़बड़ तो होती रहती है, अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो सकती है तो हो ही जाती है. You learn with life, you become more
Right.
firm. आप self care ज़्यादा सीख लेते हो पहले. You're little easy to walk over, अभी नहीं है.
Okay. What are your future aspirations? What is your goal personally and professionally?
Personally काम ना करना पड़े जितना करना पड़ता है. No. Personally, yes. Like I said, like last couple of months, things have changed for me.
Hmm.
Personally, I want little more peace, more time for myself, perhaps invest some more in my health. And professionally, I'm not done yet, so I have big goals.
Okay.
I want to change the food scene of America in terms of maybe I couldn't say the same level as Love Pizza, I guess. Perhaps same level as the Chinese restaurant. I don't know.
Hmm.
Same level. Yeah. It'll be good to see that.
Okay. Does that mean a lot more restaurants?
I think a lot more on a bigger scale.
Okay.
More like readily available, good quality food
Hmm.
with less preservatives.
Hmm.
And actually genuinely Indian food. Like agar aap my butter chicken, if I am in Wegmans or I am
Hmm.
in Fury selling at Target, you will have the authentic butter chicken, not whitewashed butter chicken.
Are you working in that direction also? Is that your plan?
नहीं अभी नहीं अभी तो बहुत दिल्ली दूर है भैया
Okay. But that's also something you want to get to.
Yeah, that will be my retirement point. Like I have won over America, then जीत लिया मैंने America को just
Okay.
पूरी like America को जीत, then I'll be at the like retirement point when I see Bibi Tiffin at that level,
Nice.
and it will come.
Nice. That's a very unique thinking, like very nice goal to set. You know, that long
हाँ
term. Yeah. Yeah.
तुम ही सुने हो पहले फिर तो
No, seriously. I mean, no, I would have thought, oh, you're in restaurant business, you would probably want to open more restaurants, and but you have another level of goal, which is make this cuisine as popular as the second, like Chinese food level, and that's very interesting. So you are surrounded by food all the time, thinking about food all the time. But do you not get bored of this same food? What do you prefer to eat every day, 3 meals a day?
So usually the goal is to eat before you get to work. Start with avocado or eggs. So lunchtime is again like to if I'm in the restaurant, I'll check like what's cooking. If they're prepping, let's say palak paneer ban raha hai, so I will take a little bit of that and I will eat, and that would be it. Eat before evening business time. I can't work hungry. That's very important. But yeah, I'll try and like maybe fish once a week.
Mm.
This year I'm trying to stick to vegetarian.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll even have pani puri for dinner. Like just I'll just like cut like once I start with pani puri, I think girls' weakness or sabka weakness is so pani puri could be my dinner.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try how the masala is or how the water is. So yeah, very. I love Chinese, Thai. So Tuesday we try and eat out at a local restaurant.
Hmm.
So we're supporting our local restaurant businesses.
How many hours do you work?
I usually like start at 7 o'clock and then should be done by 9.
Oh, wow. 12 hours तो हो ही जाता होगा दिन में.
Mm,
Is cooking an art or science?
both.
Okay.
Science अगर सही नहीं हुआ तो art गलत हो जाएगा.
Okay.
So your art is the science is applied for art to come out better. That's how I look at it.
What is the most famous dish Bibi Tiffin?
What actually essentially made me is the chole bhature.
Okay.
And then like now my golgappa bombs are like the best sellers too. But chole bhature is like the best.
This is very tough life because you work so many hours. Do you think of if there was a better alternative option?
I don't know because I think you have to be passionate to run a business, no matter what you're doing.
Hmm.
If you won't be passionate about it, you won't be doing it.
Right, right.
And it's just not generally me. Anybody who's hustling or self-employed, they certainly got to have passion. They certainly got to be one level extra crazy.
Hmm.
Because there's no clock in and there's no clock out. But trust me, once you clock in,
Yeah.
you're in for the life until you decide to.
Right.
The back of the head is always working.
Hmm.
What to do next? How to do next? What can we do
Right.
differently?
Right.
So there's always the. I went for MRI a couple of weeks ago, and when I was lying there quietly and I was thinking, planning the restaurant layout and everything. So when I come out, she asked me, I'm like, I bet she can see, like, सोई है फिर भी काम कर रही है. I'm like, उसने क्यों पूछा मेरे को ऐसे? I'm like, can you see the brain was working? So that's how bad it is. But and like I said, I'm very blessed to love doing something and I get paid for it as well. So
Yeah.
it's a good way.
I am seeing it for the first time. Like, podcasting is the first kind of thing that I've always been doing a job, and
Huh.
again, this is not paying me yet anything, but hope it does someday. I definitely feel that passion of, because I'm interested in this field, because I like talking to people and knowing their journey, and definitely getting that glimpse of what keeps you going.
Yeah, I think you'll talk to many people.
Yeah.
Surely they'll come with the same answer. It's like you gotta be passion. You gotta be very positive. You have to have your own.
Hmm.
You gotta be own the cheerleader
Hmm.
some days. And like secretly, I think when I set my goals and I am achieving it or near to achieve it, like I become my own cheerleader.
But whenever you start these things, your hustle of your new business idea or whatever, do you get that gut feeling of this is going to work out? Or
Huh, definitely.
okay.
I think
I guess that's what drives you, right?
मन तो बहुत कुछ करता है, राइट?
Hmm.
मन तो करता है 4-5 रेस्टोरेंट्स हो, बट मन जो करता है, दिमाग और दिल को भी all needs to be in line. So मन, दिल और दिमाग like तीनों को अगर मन कर रहा है नई लोकेशन का तो दिमाग को भी लगना चाहिए कि यह काम करेगा, फिर आप दिल लगा के काम करोगे तो हो जाएगा। कितना ज्ञान दे रही हूँ मैं। I think it's time to go home.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Sonia ji, and thank you so much for your time.
I definitely learned a lot about the hustle from Sonia ji. But I want to learn more from you guys. If you think I could do better on any aspect, the length, the format, the recording, the content, or if you'd like to see a video podcast, please let me know. You can reach out to me on pod.behustlers@gmail.com or on Instagram at behustlerspod. I will link the handles in the description. Now stay tuned for my next episode. Until then, enjoy the clips I post on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you and take care.